There are no governments. That is part of the show. I would say the overwhelming majority of people that are quote unquote in the government are not even human anyway. With convenience comes surveillance and enslavement. Once you can trust yourself, you don't have to trust anybody else. So when we operate that way, we decode the matrix. Everything that we're told is a lie and everything we're told is backwards. The weather is changing because of racism and cow farts. Obviously, follow the science. I mean, it's clear as day, isn't it?
Guys, this interview me and RJ did is absolutely incredible. Please be sure to hit the thumbs up button for me, share this video, and leave us a comment down below. The algorithm does not support these videos, and RJ is slanging the most truth ever. In this one, we're going to be talking about the fallacy of governments. Who really controls the world, alien technologies, and why they are used against us, what we can do about it, and towards the end, RJ is going to cover the greatest technology ever invented. So you're going to want to stick around for this entire video. Like I said, hit the thumbs up button for me. Now, in this one, you guys are going to hear us reference a class that RJ has coming up several times throughout this one. I wanted to show this to you on the beginning of this video so that way you know exactly what it was. It's going to be the first link in the comment section and the description. But this Saturday, RJ is doing False Awakening 5, where he's going to be talking about Illuminati bloodlines, shape-shifting, and alien technology. I'm super pumped for this one. He's also going to be covering what the Illuminati is, do a small group of beings control the entire earth, why blood is so important, do reptiles hide in plain sight, is advanced alien technology the weapon of control and manipulation, as well as is humanity being fought over or being used to fight an intergalactic battle? Like I said, guys, first link in the comment section description. This is stuff that we could never talk about on the channel, and it's truth that you really wouldn't find anywhere else. So I highly recommend you guys jump in. First link in the comment section description, but enjoy the video. RJ, we got a big class coming up. In it, we're going to be talking about the Illuminati, bloodline, shape-shifting, and alien technology. So I want to ask you a couple questions kind of around the topics. First and foremost, do governments really run the world? Because I feel like we're under the impression that, governments are the ones kind of controlling things, but that might not be the case. What do you think, RJ?
There are no governments. There are no governments. That is part of the show. Absolutely not. I mean, no. The short answer is there absolutely are no governments. I would say the overwhelming majority of people that are quote unquote in the government are not even human anyway. So no, there are no real governments.
Okay, sweet. Talk about a quick way to answer that one. Okay, sweet. So then, I mean, that kind of breaks down like a lot of what we know to be true then, first and foremost, because who are we trusting for our information then? RJ, is it the government? Is it the scientists that are doing these studies? You know what I mean?
No, scientists tend to agree with whoever funds their studies, right? And scientism is not the direction to go in. So when we talk about who can we trust, right? So it comes down, you have to be able to trust yourself and your own intuition. We cannot sit back and try to figure out, okay, can I trust him? Can I trust her? Can I trust that organization? Can I trust that country? Can I trust that leader? Can I trust that celebrity? This is a fool's errand to do that, right? So what we want to be able to do is to be detached enough that we're able to discern what is real and what is not. And it's always about detachment. This is how we gain discernment, right? Once you can trust yourself, you don't have to trust anybody else. And that's really the point. And this is what they're banking on, people not doing this, not being detached enough to gain a level of discernment and therefore clarity. And the resonance of truth will be tangible. So when we operate that way, we decode the matrix, right? Because the five physical senses, right, cannot decode intention, right? So in other words, if it makes sense and it pleases the mind and it hits certain emotional chords and it ties together other narratives, right? Most people just go, and just take it on board, just align themselves with it. But detachment, right, not identifying with anything that's going on, is going to give you clarity. And your inner knowingness will flow right to you on the river of intuition, and you will know. You'll know what is right and what is not right for you. And that's what this is really about. Don't listen to other people. Don't try to figure out, can I trust him? Can I trust them? Learn to trust yourself, and the doors of truth just become wide open.
I always thought it was so weird, especially during the times where there was that sickness, that we're like, hey, just trust the scientists. It's like, who are these scientists that we're always talking about? You know what I mean? The scientists that know when meteors are coming, and the scientists that know what vaccines are best for people. Anyway, RJ, I was always excited to learn about alien technologies because I thought it meant that, you know, it was progression for us. And like if we had them, then good things would come about. But I know you're going to be talking about alien technologies in the class coming up. That might not always be the case, though. It might not always be for our benefit, huh?
Always for our
Is
benefit.
it ever for our benefit? Yeah.
Yeah, no. So remember, with convenience comes surveillance and enslavement, and we're sold on convenience because we're making our choices short term. So it's really they they are the ego mind identity. This is about ensnaring the attention of the ego mind identity and then offering a level of instantaneous gratification or convenience. And of course, behind that convenience is surveillance and enslavement. And that's what this is really about. I mean, I'm going to have to do a false awakening on cryptocurrency because wait till I tell you what's really going on with that. But so they appeal to the ego mind identity, they appeal through body consciousness, they hijack your attention, right? And then whatever your attention is on becomes your reality. We're like a container. We then hold that frequency and then emanate it, thus building it, right? So this is important to understand. So once we start to get the mechanics of it, we'll start to realize that these things that are being presented seem on the surface or short term seem like they could be really beneficial. Well, the opposite is always true long term.
Wow. And you said this a couple different times, RJ, in like interviews and stuff that we've done, is like if we didn't have cell phones, then our powers to communicate telepathically would come back online. How much of our like our own innate powers are, you know what I mean, like dumbed down because of new technology that comes in that we get dependent upon?
The vast majority of what we're capable of in terms of higher intuitive functionality, in terms of inner knowingness, most of it is completely turned off because we're going through a physical interface to do this. You can even think of this even in terms of healing and things like that. If we're going through a physical interface, we're always going to be limited to the energies associated with the physical interface. And so what that also means is that the whole Clark Kent, right, the self unfolding is not happening because the attention and focus is on a physical interface outside of oneself. And so this is how you become reliant upon something outside of you, whether it's plant medicine or a phone or whatever. So now we're relying, and this is not what's happening directly. So we're not actually having direct gnosis. We're not developing self-control. We're not developing self-discipline, which means we're not developing the will. And the will is the single most important aspect to develop because it's tangible and it makes the soul more pliable and adaptable to any circumstance or situation. So without developing the will, what we're really doing is allowing ourselves to be defeated slowly through the conveniences and through the idea of short-term gratification. So it's very insidious and it's been figured out. I mean, this plan is masterful. I mean, let's be honest about it. The plan is absolutely masterful, right? So, but the stuff that we talk about, and it all starts with detachment. All this game starts to change as soon as you're detached and you start to understand some of these metaphysics and how things actually work.
That's crazy. So if the government isn't real, RJ, then who's pulling the strings? You know what I mean? Who is the US then? Who is China? Who is Russia?
Okay, stop. See, this is part of it. Stop thinking of countries. Just stop thinking in those terms, right? So remember the analogy, and I don't remember if this was False Awakening 4, False Awakening 3, right? I do so much yammering. I don't remember when I said it, but the analogy that I used was think of Major League Baseball, right? So you have all these different teams, right, competing with one another, right? But they're all making money for Major League Baseball, right? Okay, if we could just use that, it's just an example, it's just an analogy, but it starts to open the door. So we have these so-called different countries, right? But don't even think of it that way. But they're all playing, if we don't realize this, they're all playing for the same team. Same with the so-called government. They're all playing for the same team. Now, are there individualized or like factions, just like the New York Yankees are trying to win and the Los Angeles Dodgers are trying to win and get as much as they can and make as much money and gain as much notoriety. Absolutely. They're still making money for the big boss. They're still making money for Major League Baseball, right? So if we start to look at it that way, we can forget about countries. We can forget about this. This is just part of the show, right? We need a bad guy. Someone's got to be the bad guy, right? I got news for you. Whoever has been the bad guy throughout history it's probably the opposite. It's probably the opposite. Whoever's been the good guy, it's probably the opposite, because they like to do that.
There you go. If you guys missed False Awakening 3, be sure to check it out. I mean, I think I'm just kind of connecting the dots as we're doing this right now, RJ. But I think that kind of shows who's behind the scenes pulling the strings a little bit. How did everything get flipped? I would imagine at one time in this, there wasn't like this overseer of control, but slowly over time they started to gain control. I don't know. How did that just come into place? You know what I mean? To where now they control everything.
Well, I mean, I want to just keep taking it back to well, no, I won't take it back to sports. I was going to take it back to baseball again. But if we start to understand, and I'm going to talk about this in class, what is the real purpose of so-called elites and ruling? Like, what is really behind? What is the actual agenda? And when I talk about what the actual agenda is in class, most people are their mind is going to be blown, because it's not what they've been told. It just is not what they've been told. So once we start to understand the true agenda, and then once we start to understand there's so many different factions that get involved, right, that have their own agenda, right? So great wisdom, great teachings, it gets corrupted and co-opted, and it gets abused. It gets used and then abused for the benefits of the few rather than for the benefits of the many. But I don't want to say too much now, because once I get into that in class, it's really going to be eye-opening, because even what we've been told, especially by the alternative media and the spiritual community, what we've been told about that stuff is just actually, it's just not true. It's just not true. And when we start to understand the genesis of it, what is the real point, and why certain beings feel like they're here to rule, which we talked about in the very first False Awakening, how this whole thing got set up, we're going to start to tie that together with False Awakening 5 on Saturday.
It's going to be an incredible series, RJ. I mean, I've enjoyed it up until this point, but just the amount of truth that's being put out is pretty crazy. Speaking of truth being put out, if these governments have technology that, let's say, that they've gotten from aliens, how long does it take for the public to get access to it, and why does it take so long? And why, when they do get access, is it for the benefit of the controlling entities, if you will?
Well, how long before the public gets access to it?
Yeah.
Never. Never. That technology is not for us slaves, Justin. That's not for us. We never get it. And I mean never. Literally. It's not for us, or it's not seen that it's for us. Right? And it's not for us to even decide who is supposed to get it. And this is what I mean when we start to understand the role of elites and the Illuminati. All this will start to make more sense. And again, the first class, I talked about why are there certain beings who feel that it's their right to rule, and I explained that, right? So now we'll start to understand how this relates to the Illuminati and these bloodlines. So to answer your question, when do we get the technology? Never. That's when we get it. Absolutely never.
I think it was 2020 or 2019. It was right around the time where VR started to become like a big thing. And I saw this video that showed the patent for VR was put out in like the 1930s. And it had come out in like maybe the 1940s. Anyway, it was like 70 years later that we actually got the VR goggles. And I was like, if we're this behind on like this one thing, what else is behind the scenes that we have no idea about? You know what I mean?
Well, that's a good example. Weather modification has been going on. I think we can even look it up.
You mean global warming?
Oh, it's real. Yeah, it's because of racism. Yeah. Right? We know that. The global warming is due to racism and cow farts. Now this makes sense to me. The weather is changing because of racism and cow farts. Obviously, follow the science. I mean, it's clear as day, isn't it? So I'm pretty sure, I haven't done it, but I'm pretty sure if we looked it up, we could probably trace back proof of weather modification. I'm going to guess, say, going back to the 1930s. So you can imagine roughly 100 years later, what kind of technology is actually being used now. If we're just now, very recently, starting to understand about weather modification in the last, let's just call it last 10 years or even 20 years, right? So could you imagine that 80-year head start in terms of the technology that's actually being used on this planet? I mean, it goes back to your question before. When do we get use of this technology? Never. It's used on us. We never get use of it. It just gets used on us.
The problem, RJ, is fossil fuels. That's why we should all switch to electric cars.
Yeah, that's the other thing, right? Which is what actually does more harm to the environment and the earth, right? Mining for the lithium. Just ask the people in North Carolina, right? So everything that we're told is a lie, and everything we're told is backwards. And the more that we can just start to work with that, I actually feel that our interest in these things will just almost evaporate, and then we can start to focus on ourselves. And this is also, we don't focus on ourselves, right? The law of attention, where your attention goes, your energy flows. So if your attention is on within the I am, what unfolds is the I am, and that is the last thing that they want. That is the absolute last thing, is that. And the greatest thing that we can ever do for ourselves, for our family, for our community, for the planet, for our species, is to work on yourself. That's the greatest thing that we can ever do. That. Not try to figure everything out. It's all a lie. It's all misdirection. We're never going to get the truth about these things. But what you can get to the truth is about yourself. To know thyself. And that's what existence is really about. To know thyself and all thy infinite potential. And if we make the shift from not putting attention outward to figure things out, let's just assume it's all bullshit, because it is. It is. And put the attention on within the I am. It's you that unfolds. All your wisdom, all your power, all your love, all your discernment, your will. That's what unfolds. That is what they don't want to happen.
Dang. Law of attention. August 8th. So, RJ, can we play a fun game real quick?
I like games.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Can we just imagine that technology and all of the resources at hand were used for the betterment of Earth and the people here? What would it look like? And is there a place where that is the case? Is there a
if it's possible, it exists. So yeah, is there a place? Yeah, if it's possible, it already exists, right? We would have to shift our perception and frequency to align with that, and then have that experience, right? So yeah, it exists. What would it look like? I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind, oddly enough, is that if that was the case, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't feel that it's required for me to incarnate and be here. So, and it's not really about the technology. Remember, the greatest technology ever created is your consciousness. It's your consciousness. And so the focus is always on, what I call Clark Kenting it, right? Unveiling the self. That's always the focus. This is the greatest technology that's ever been created, and nothing can ever replace it, because this doesn't have any limitations. But what would a version of Earth look like if we were doing what I just said, and we had technology that matched up with that? I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. But like I said, the funny thing is, it's probably a place I wouldn't bother going, because I wouldn't be needed there.
Is there a situation or a circumstance where we could flip this whole thing on its head and move in that direction?
Well, yeah. I mean, we can definitely move in that direction, but if we want to live in a more a wiser, more empowered, more compassionate civilization, we have to first cultivate those qualities within ourselves. So it's kind of right. So it's not like I'm going to wait for the mirror to smile first and then I'll smile back. So we have been brainwashed and conditioned to think that advancement is just technology. No, it's not. No, it isn't. Advancement is actually this. And then technology becomes representative of more of our consciousness that we're or the I am that we're directly attuning the body mind to. And this is where we get great advanced technologies. So these civilizations, a more advanced civilization, is going to unfold when we start to work with ourselves in a more holistic way, when we start to understand more of the I am directly. And then the outer world, or the so-called outer world, will then reflect that. But of course, everything here is inverted and perverted. So what we're sitting around doing is waiting for technology, right? Instead of realizing the greatest technology is the place that we're looking out from.
Dang, we are the technology. That's pretty crazy, RJ. Last question for you. You know, obviously we have False Awakening 2 coming up, which we're going to be talking about, or you're going to be talking about, not me, Shapeshifting. We spoke on one of the False Awakenings about clones. How do clones and shapeshifting, is there any connection there, or how does it differentiate? You know what I mean?
Okay, no, there is no connection between clones and shapeshifting. And what I'm gonna talk about in class is that our understanding, I don't want to give too much away. Our understanding of shapeshifting is, from my direct experience, is wildly inaccurate. That's not actually what's going on. I'll explain what is going on in class.
Okay. Okay, perfect. All right, well, it's gonna be a good one. Let's read through some of the topics one more time just for fun. This is gonna be great. Illuminati bloodlines, shape-shifting, and alien technology. And in another video that we did, RJ, you talked about how blood is a true currency. It's not about money or anything else. Do you want to speak a little bit to that, or are we gonna save it for class?
No, let's wait for class. I'd rather be able to go as far as I want with no restrictions. And of course, in private classes, that's what they're really for. So the algorithm does not support truth. So the algorithm will never support anything that I share with humanity. But I never expected that it would.
If you guys have made this far in the video, please hit the thumbs up button for us and share this video. You know, the algorithm doesn't really support this channel as it is. So all the help is really appreciated. But, you know, in the class, it'll be the first link in the comment section description. RJ's going to be going into what is the Illuminati? Do small groups of beings control the earth? Why is blood so important? Do reptiles hide in plain sight? Is advanced alien technology the weapons of control and manipulation? And is humanity being fought over or being used to fight an intergalactic battle? Man, that last one sounds like it's going to be really, really fun to dive into, RJ. So,
yeah, no, the thing about these classes is that, as you know, they are 90% or 95% informational, and all my work, excuse me, all my work is the opposite. It's prescriptive. So we have an enlightened perspective of something, and then we have the step-by-step process so that we can have the tangible experience, whether it's healing or manifestation or mastery. So, but for me, I wanted to make sure that the people that are truly interested in understanding what is going on, that they do. Because I think for a lot of people, these things just don't make sense. But when you understand what the game plan is, what the agenda is, and how this was set up, all of the T's start to become crossed and the I's start to become dotted. And so I wasn't really sure when I first started doing these classes how much people actually already knew about some of these things. And what I'm finding out is that for the most part, most people don't know about these things, or they know just a little bit. And so I found that it's been valuable because it does really put our hands around, why is this world the way it is? Why are these things happening? And when you start to see it, and we've done this through, will be now the 5th class. I just think it gives people a sense of empowerment, and also that will also allow them to not get too preoccupied with it simultaneously. So they feel empowered, they have a better understanding of what is really happening, and now they can kind of, for the most part, let it go, but of course not completely let it go, because we have to be aware of our surroundings. We have to be aware of what is going on. And that's why I talked about plan B before, about being able to get citizenships and residencies, and knowing where you can go if your environment where you are now, you've decided that has become unsafe or it's about to be unsafe, right? So we should all have a plan B, and that's why I started talking about that as well. So they're incredible. These classes are incredibly helpful, and they're not, if people even thought this, they're not fear-based doom and gloom. It's just the opposite. These are facts. These are what's going on. And then based upon knowing what is going on, you don't fall into the trap. And by not falling into the trap, you can then take different actions. And by taking the different actions, you will get different results.
Completely agree. Yeah, very uplifting, if you will. I don't get sucked into like what's going on in the news. Instead, I look at it like, what are they hiding? What's behind this? Because it seems like every time they put something in front of you, there's something else at work there. So, yeah, RJ, thank you so much for doing this work for us. And this video does need a word of the day. So, what would you like the word of the day to be?
Regalatry.
Oh, regalatry. That's a first for me. I haven't heard that word. So should I look it up, or you want to say what it is? Or
Regal
Films? Is that like the like the movie?
No, just like that of which that is regal, the regalatry. It's just a fun word to say. I just like how it kind of just falls out of the mouth, regalatry.
Oh,
So
yeah. Falls out of the mouth. Yeah, that is nice.
Yeah.
Okay, RJ, thank you so much. We always appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Nice seeing you, buddy.